أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم بفضل الله بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين بارئ الخلائق أجمعين باعث الأنبياء والمرسلين ثم الصلاة وتم التسليم على المبعوث رحمة للعالمين سيدنا ومولانا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد
وعلى آل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين لا سيما بقية الله في الأرضين روحي وأرواح العالمين لتراب مختمه الفداء ثم بعد فقد قال الله عز وجل في محكم كتابه العزيز بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم بل يريد الإنسان ليفجر أمامه يسأل أيان يوم القيامة. To hasten the reappearance of our Prophet Imam sallallahu alaihi Muhammad wa Muhammad.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
And continuing factors that lead to a person following the shahawat and the urges in a negative way. Of course, there are reasons for these, there are factors that lead to this. As I will mention them, me and you can have a better idea, a clearer idea of what makes a person, a human being, weak with regards to their shahawat, and as a result fall prey to them and be affected by the negative effects of following the shahawat. So let us try to take a preventive approach, first of all by looking at the factors that lead to that. So firstly is the matter of weak faith. If a person does not have strong iman, if a person does not believe in the commands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who says, many times I hear, has somebody gone to al-akhirah and come back? I hear that, Molana, somebody gone to al-akhirah, is there anybody gone to al-akhirah? There actually are people that have gone to al-akhirah and have come back, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has raised and has resurrected quite a few people. In addition to the fact that so many akhbars and the narration themselves, these are not brought from fantasy television. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, these descriptions of the akhirah, He has sent them to us, and He the Creator Himself. In addition to that, we also have the narrations of the Ma'asumeen salamullahi alayhim, all of them, ashab ilm, the people who have knowledge. So, it's the weak faith. And if a person, however, were to believe in this properly, have a look at these narrations and these descriptions of the akhirah, and have strong aqa'id, that is to say, be able to prove to yourself, you should be able to prove to yourself that these are based on proper foundation. And when Allah, Rabbul Alameen, has sent me this Quran, which itself is infallible, does not have any mistakes, it has been narrated and transmitted from one generation to the other in a sense of mass transmission, tawatur, lafzi, massively transmitted verbally, exactly the way it was during the time of the Holy Prophet. All of this, and also by taking into consideration that person of the Holy Prophet unto whom the Quran was revealed, he was an untaught person, ummi. He was not taught before him being sent as a prophet. He was not taught anything, nor did he write or read. He did not go to any of the priests or to any of the hakams of the Jews in order to learn all of this. Neither did he recite poetry, he was not a poet. That all of this miracle of the Holy Quran to be sent to such a person, all these circumstances, this aqa'id the person needs to strengthen. When will you be able to control your urges if you look at it from an angle of iman? It is when you see the akhirah in front of you with your eyes. You see it with your heart. You look at Qiyamah, the day of Qiyamah, you remember it. You look at a particular sin, for instance, or a particular excess urge. You think like Imam Ali salamullahi alayhi, whom we lost that, oh my daughter, he tells Kulthum on that night, that final night of his iftar, that, oh my daughter, you have given me two side things, and two side pieces of food, or kinds of food to be eaten with my main portion, because the way that the Imam used to eat with bread, either he would eat yogurt or milk. Kulthum, she gave them both to him, in addition to the food, the main dish. And that he tells her, do you want my hisab on the day of Qiyamah to be lengthened, to remain for a longer time? In those circumstances on the day of Qiyamah, on the day when the sun and the moon are actually joined, the sun will engulf the moon. To that extent, the sun will be big. That heat that is unbearable. A person should see this with his eyes. With regards to Nabi Yusuf sallallahu alayhi, because of this iman that he had, he saw that this urge or this haram or this ma'asiyah, this sin that is in front of me right now, if I were to commit it, if I were to commit this sin, I am going to go and such and such place on the day of Qiyamah. And a human being in general, if a person does not control their urge, if they let the urges take their own path, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describes him as that, but man desires to continue his sin. بَلْ يُرِيدُ الْإِنسَانُ لِيَفْجُرَ أَمَامَهُ يَسْأَلُ أَيَّانَ يَوْمُ الْقِيَامَةِ. He asks, when is the day of resurrection? Is it truly going to come? Like a challenge to the Holy Prophet. You keep on talking about the day of Qiyamah. Where is the day of Qiyamah? The thing is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when He sent the Holy Prophet, sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi,
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
This qawm, this civilization, from the day that the Holy Prophet came, there is no adhab istiqsali. There is no uprooting adhab. Because he is one of the amans, he is one of the security, one of the guarantees for us. However, if you go to the peoples, the nations before that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, even Bani Israel, there were many people and groups in Bani Israel who received such adabs. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that group of Bani Israel, for instance, He turned them into what? Into pigs and chimps. Correct or not? Those who are not following, not abiding by the Sabbath. The Sabbath as they call it today. La yasbitun. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told them, don't go to fish that day. Second reason is a person being ignorant and heedless to Allah. Ghafil. Not caring what Allah says, the commands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the commands of Islam. When that urge arises, when that desire comes, they follow it. And as they continue to follow it, they continue, it's like a domino effect, and one leads to another thing. The more they don't listen, they don't follow themselves, the more heedless they will become, because of the fact that this heart, the hijab and the veil on it, it will increase. Those inspirations of divine light and the calls of the fitrah from inside and the aql, they don't go through to the heart. They don't go through. Thirdly is that taking bad company, which I mentioned before, and actually this is actually a Quranic concept and needs to be studied properly. The effect of a friend on another friend. According to certain narrations, it has been described and mentioned that it is similar to air that passes by a corpse. It carries with it smelly and filthy air, full of germs, full of stench. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Holy Quran, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, يَوْمَ يَعُضُّ الظَّالِمُ عَلَى يَدَيْهِ يَقُولُ يَا لَيْتَنِي اتَّخَذْتُ مَعَ الرَّسُولِ سَبِيلًا يَا وَيْلَتَى لَيْتَنِي لَمْ أَتَّخِذْ فُلَانًا خَلِيلًا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, the day the wrongdoer will bite on his hands and he will regret and say, I wish I had not taken, I had taken with the Holy Prophet a message, I had taken with the Holy Prophet a path, I had been with him, and woe unto me, I wish I had not taken Fulan as my friend. I wish I had not taken him as my friend. This peer pressure, right? Normally, in order to be part of the gang, quote unquote, part of the group, there's friends, you want to go walk with them. The youth mostly, they understand this. You want to be like them, you want to be cool, you want to be accepted by them, you're going to have to do some of the things that they do, that you are forced into doing. Whereas if you stand your ground, normally you will find that you will be left out. This is something, especially in this country, that our youth have to be extremely careful of. Be careful when you pick your friends. Imam Ali salamullahi alayhi says,
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Be careful of befriending corrupt and vicious people, vice committing people. I mean, people who do vices commit sins, and especially those who commit them openly. Especially those who commit these sins openly. Go to certain places, do certain things, drink or eat certain kinds of food, whatever. Especially these kind of people. Be careful not to have any interactions with them. No, that's not what I'm calling for. But there are sometimes this befriending, this oneness of condition and oneness of state between you and them. If it's not controlled under certain boundaries with a certain goal, it will lead to bad ends. Fourthly, deviated thoughts and wrong philosophies and ideologies in life. In the last century, all of us who are sitting over here, maybe a little bit younger than knowing and actually having lived during that time. During the last century, in the 1950s, especially 50s, 60s and onwards, there were different types of ideologies and schools of thought whose messages, ideologies were being very much spread in the Islamic world. Communism, liberalism, capitalism, socialism, etc., etc. The burning fuel for them were Muslims, and especially among them were the Shias. In Iran, in Iraq, Syria, Lebanon especially as well. What was this? Or sometimes it would be nationalist thought, like the Syrian nationalist thought, Arab nationalist thought, etc. All of these are wrong ideologies. They do not have an entire holistic message. If a person were to have some of this thought, right? Among the principles, amongst the schools of ethics, for example, there's a school of Nietzsche, the school of strength and power, right? Might is right, divide and conquer. The end justifies the mean, correct? What does this lead to? If you believe in this and you practice this in your life, even if you may be a Muslim, but if you practice this in your life, what does this lead to? Right in your eyes will be what you can achieve, what you want. Your urge, that is what is right. That will be what is right to you in your eyes. And what happens as well, especially right now, those people who have influence in political positions, etc., some of these policies, they have actually been legislated in the parliament. Correct? So, for instance, colonialism. What was that based on? It was based on the weakness of other peoples, of other nations, in addition to the fact that there was that want of looting all of the reserves and all of the wealth of other people in order to build, in order to steal, in order for certain countries, among them our own, to become rich, for certain people to become rich. And this in general, so following these kinds of thoughts, it generally leads to social instability, instability of the family, emotional deprivation. When the family, for instance, when it is okay, the family unit is not strong enough. So when you are 18, as soon as that birthday candle is, it turns out, there is a leg waiting for you and the door is open. Correct or not? This kind of family unit. But when this child goes out, especially if it's a daughter, what are they going to be prayed to? Are they even ready? Have you even properly prepared them in order to take this responsibility of themselves? Where is that love? Are you humans? Is this humanity? Is this compassion? Is this love for your children? It's just like certain groups of animals, what they do is, at a certain point, either when the mother gives birth to these animals, then it just leaves them. They have to fend for themselves. They get eaten, whatever happens to them. This is how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has actually programmed these animals. So do we act like them? But now this kind of philosophy, this kind of belief, again, I've actually seen certain people. Okay, you Muslims say that God exists. Okay, let him exist. I'm saying let him exist. Why do I have to worship him? Why do I have to bow to him? Why do I have to sing his praise, according to their church? Why? This kind of thinking it starts from me. These philosophies, humanistic philosophies in general, they start from a basis. That basis is that I am a center of the universe as a human being. I have a right, an entire right, full right to myself. Nobody has authority over me. Neither should there be any responsibilities. Feminism, for example, me as a woman, I have the right to do whatever I want. It is me, it is my body, whatever, a lot of things. Okay? I have the right to know it, alhamdulillah. This also speaks to our Muslim. Why does he have the right to tell me that I shouldn't go out, or I should not work, or I should take care of the family, or whatever? Where does he get that right from? This is where this thought creeps into our families from. And you have to be a little bit careful and wise on how to deal with it. It's my right that I choose not to wear the hijab. Khair, inshallah. You, of course, like that. Then you have freedom of will. But is it your right to transgress? Your right to transgress against the commands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? It's not your right, because He's the one who created you. You belong to Him. But He has given you that free will. And He is kind enough and merciful enough to let you do what you want during this time of the life. And then when your time of muhasabah comes, then you answer to Him and tell Him, this is what I learned, this is what I saw on television. Certain countries I go. Funny thing, the wife, she comes and she says that, no, but I was with him when he was paying for this home. So in the divorce settlement, I want the house as well. I want to kick him out. And it's my right. Bismillah wa billah. Your right is to your dowry, whatever you may have agreed to. Okay? And on top of that, as they say in Arabic, habbat misk as well. You also get some sweet khair, inshallah, whatever extra He wants to give you. Whatever other help, in order for you not to be left in a difficult situation. Because we do not agree to that. But what else? No, I want his house here. I want his house in his own country as well. I want his car. I want everything. It's my right. Khair, inshallah. And I personally have faced certain situations like that. So khair, inshallah, no problem at all. You follow the law of the country that you claim, that you want to follow. Khair, inshallah. On the day of Qiyamah, take the flag of that country. When the malaika come to take your account, put that flag and tell, no, I want to be held accountable according to the law of my land. Khair, inshallah. You tell them that, no problem at all. This is a problem. This is a difficulty. One of the things that a person needs to focus on is that, you see, these kind of philosophies, to them, obligations from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or certain limits that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has set, they consider these, or in general, things that they have to abide by. You know, rights, principles. They consider these to be taken from the local society. These are considered to them as social norms. Social norms. Social norms, what do they do from one generation to the other? They change. Correct? So to them, a moral basis, a moral system, ethical system is not 100% fixed. Whereas the difference between them and us is that no, we have a fixed moral system. To us, 100 years ago it was haram, for example, for a person to play, to gamble, and 200 years later it's going to be the same thing, to drink, to not wear hijab properly, or to do any other things. In addition to that, we also look at everything that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given, has made wajib upon us. It has a wisdom to it. So the world is not centered around the human being. On the contrary, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made insan the Khalifa on the earth. So you have responsibilities towards Allah to take care of the earth, That earth means you and your fellow human being, and it means you and whatever lives on the earth, and that means also you and the earth itself. All of this as Khalifa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You're not a king, and at the same time, you're not an owner of yourself. You're not a malik, not an owner, not a possessor. In addition to this, is that finally that source to them, like I said, the source of these principles to them is a society. To us, the source of these principles is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But let's just mention some of the negative effects. After having talked about the factors, let's talk about some of the negative effects of following one's urges. Let's first start salawat, please. So firstly, a human being, when they blindly follow their urges and they step over the line of halal and haram, what happens is that a person, they become polluted with sins. When they become polluted with sins, the Holy Prophet ﷺ says, your love for something turns you blind and deaf to its ill effects, to its negative effects. There is a story of an abid from the times of Bani Israel. His name was Barsisa. Barsisa was known to be a monk, to be an arif of their time, very well known. He reached a certain stage where people would come to him and they would ask him to cure their sick, and he would recite dua for them, etc., and they would be cured. Now once what happened is that some brothers, they brought their sister. Their sister was mentally ill, and they asked him to cure her. So Barsisa told them that she's going to have to stay for a while, and I will have to work and pray for her. So no problem, they trusted him. During this time, Shaitan came to Barsisa. Slowly he started to tempt Barsisa in doing haram acts with this crazy lady, this insane lady. He did so. This woman became pregnant. During this time, Shaitan now started to come to him more. What are you going to do? You're going to get caught. Do something about it. Hide what you've done. So he killed her. And it's not that he only killed her, he buried her as well, while she was pregnant. The brothers came. What Shaitan did, he took the shape of a human being, because Shaitan has that power, and he's come to many prophets in that way as well. He used to even go to Namrud and also believe him to Fir'aun as well in that way. So he came, he took the form of a human being, and he came to them and he told them that, look, 1, 2, 3, 4 has happened. The brothers went over there and they found what the monk had done, what Barsisa had done. They took him, they prepared him to hang him, and to decapitate him, I believe, or to hang him. At that point, Shaitan appeared to him again, told him, I put you in this situation, I can take you out, but on one condition. What's that condition? Told him, do a sajda for me. Just one little sajda. He said, but I can't, and look at me, my situation, I'm on the road, I'm going to be hanged right now. He told him, just do this iman, that is, just lower your head, I'll consider as a sajda, no problem, just for you. So he lowered his head, and he was killed. Shaitan didn't do anything to him. He did shirk. He committed all of these vices. All of them, why? Because of his urges. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Holy Quran, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, كَمَثَلِ الشَّيْطَانِ إِذْ قَالَ لِلْإِنسَانِ اكْفُرْ فَلَمَّا كَفَرْ قَالَ إِنِّي بَرِيءٌ مِّنْكَ إِنِّي أَخَافُ اللَّهَ رَبَّ الْعَالَمِينَ. The hypocrites are like Shaitan when he tells man to disbelieve, but when he disbelieves, he says,
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
I disassociate myself from you. Because I fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Lord of the world. I'm not like you. Secondly, corruption of the mind. The way a person starts to think. Excessively following these urges, like I said, it will create a veil. This veil will deprive a person from being able to benefit from that furqan, that ability of having that criteria, that inner criteria, in differentiating between right and wrong, through the aql, through the fitrah, through the basira, etc. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala deprives the person from that. Until, to the extent that to that person, haqq becomes batil and batil becomes haqq. Yeah, we should have gone and taken their oil. Correct? You hear this as well. We should have taken more oil. Should have stayed over there. I want a big wall. A big wall, fat wall. Correct? Inshallah. Right becomes wrong. Wrong becomes right. Amir al-Mu'mineen sallallahu alayhi. He establishes this fact and he says to obey one's whims corrupts your reason. Yufsidul aql. It corrupts your reason. Of course, I emphasize, I'm talking about fulfilling the urges in a haram way, and also to excessively fulfill them, indulging oneself to the extent that there is no need for that. Many of these people in the end, they regret what they do. Again, the Imam sallallahu alayhi, he says in another narration, when a person looks at the shahwa, إِذَا أَبْصَرَتِ الْعَيْنَ الشَّهْوَةِ عَمِيَ الْقَلْبُ عَنِ الْعَاقِبَةِ. If the eye sees these urges, and where these urges can be fulfilled, the heart forgets the end result. It will forget it. A mu'min, he thinks about the end result always. Why? Because doing this in the haram way, it is going to lead to your regret. Now with repetition, this becomes a permanent state. The nafs al-lawwama, continuously reminds, there still is hope in it. Now when this becomes permanent, right, this kind of life, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says about them, أُولَٰئِكَ كَالْأَنْعَامِ بَلْ هُمْ أَضَالٌ, and those are like cattle and they are even more astray. The whims, they are very hidden. Right? I think I've mentioned this before. One's whims and desires are hidden inside. To the extent that if this aql does not function properly, if you're not able to distinguish properly, you will not be able to differentiate. A person whose heart and whose mind is filled with this, is covered by this veil. To him, what he will try to do, he or she, they will start to justify the ways they want to apply in order to reach to their whims and their desires. They will start to justify that. I have the right to do whatever I want with this, my private life, to be with whoever I want, to do whatever I want. Like the current trend right now. Yes, I have that right. Okay. Some people who claim knowledge and they start to defend that in the name of rights, liberality, etc., etc. With regards to oppressors as well, they also find certain people to give them a nice big fat fatwa from here in the Muslim world. Right? Or in other places as well, you find a pat on the back, what you're doing is correct, ahsan. Attack Iran, you're doing the right thing. Yes. Imprisonment of the nafs. If a person falls victim or falls into the snares of their shahawat, of their urges, and you're not able to, and you reach to the extent that you've totally fallen. A human being cannot resist anymore. When they can't resist anymore, you as a Muslim, if that person is a non-Muslim, or is a Muslim but is also walking on that path, you must have seen this. Come, think about your grave. Okay, let's say you're talking to a non-Muslim. Think about your grave. Think about your hereafter. How many years are you going to live this life of fun and happiness and dancing and clubbing for? You're 30, 40 more years? 45 or 50 if the NHS improves a lot and after Brexit or whatever. After that, what's going to happen to you? Have you thought about, I don't think about that. That this way of life that you're living, haven't you thought about your soul? Nah, I don't think about those kind of things. What about Islam? Nah, you guys have got too much to do. You pray 5 times a day, you have to fast 30 days. I can't handle with that, man. I live a life of freedom. How many of you have seen that in the society? But with regards to our Muslim brothers and sisters, sometimes a person who sins and is totally away from Sirat al-Mustaqim, alright? And you tell them that, brother, you're committing this mistake and continuously you're doing it. Something really bad, something really negative. You're neither praying, you don't fast, you don't do anything. Brother, what's this? What's the kind of life that you're living? You're a Muslim by name only. No. Iman is in the heart. I believe in my heart. And all of this, Allah will forgive me. Bismillah, billah. You think that's it? Why? He can't bother to pray. He doesn't want to spend these few hours and fasting. Right? And the other muharramat, and unfortunately I do know Muslims who do consume alcohol and the stuff. Alhamdulillah, I don't know them personally, I don't want to know. But I know of them. Right? They consume alcohol, they do all of this. Right? They're too addicted to these kind of things, or drugs or whatever. Unfortunately, what does this lead to? Amir al-Mu'mineen Salamullah alayhi, he says He says, the slave of his urges, the person who is a slave of their urges, is more humiliated than a slave, than a normal slave himself. You want this particular thing that you have become addicted to. Sometimes you will humiliate yourself for that. Sometimes you will bear certain situations, right, that truly that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not want you to put yourself in. In a particular job situation, maybe, and let's give an example. You're working under a team, and your team leader constantly, he is messing things up, or she is messing things up, whatever equality. Right? They're messing things up, and you are not able to fulfill your full potential. Things are not going well, and in the end, you as well, you're also being blamed for something you don't do. But you continue to remain, continue to stay, maybe to suck up a little bit. Why? Because at the end of the month, the pay slip, alhamdulillah, is it has a good amount of zeros in it. But what you're doing is that you're humiliating yourself for that. You are selling your izzah, your karama. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not want to put you in such a situation. He has not given you the authority to do that. You don't have the authority. Your karama is the karama of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. أَرَأَيْتَ مَنِ اتَّخَذَ إِلَهَهُ هَوَى. Have you seen he who has taken his hawa, his desires as his God? These complete obedience, this abiding, becoming sometimes like a drug addict, all of these prevent a human being from being able to ascend in his or her mi'raj during salat, among many other situations, from being able to connect with the other world. Among the things is that a person, they will turn their hearts towards the dunya. Instead of focusing your heart towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, your heart will be focused towards the dunya. I want to gather, I want to hold, I want to live, I want to collect. I like antiquities, I like this and that. Alhamdulillah, I have a hobby of collecting. MashaAllah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Holy Quran, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, وَاتْلُ عَلَيْهِمْ نَبَأَ الَّذِي آتَيْنَاهُ آيَاتِنَا فَانْسَلَخَ مِنْهَا فَأَتْبَعَهُ الشَّيْطَانُ فَكَانَ مِنَ الْغَاوِينَ. And recite to them, O Muhammad, the news of him who we gave knowledge of our signs, ayatina. But he detached himself from them, so shaitan pursued him, and that person, he became of the deviators. He started to deviate people. This story, according to certain accounts, is the story of Bal'am bin Ba'ura. Bal'am in Arabic, Bal'am in Hebrew. Bal'am bin Ba'ura. He was from the people of Yemen, and he used to live during the time of Nabi Musa salamullahi alayhi. And he used to have good relations with Nabi Musa. This person, in his spirituality, he had reached such a stage that when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sometimes, there are certain signs that an arif, he can understand what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants from him. he can feel it either in his heart, or he sees certain things happen, right? These are the signs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. A far deeper meaning as well. Allah had given him that knowledge of the signs. Okay? And Balaam also had al-Ism al-Azam. He also had al-Ism al-Azam. During this time, if I'm not mistaken, Musa sent him to the king of the Canaanites, Qawm al-Jabbarin, as is mentioned in the Holy Quran, the Amalika Arabs. Okay? He sent this person to them in the area of Palestine, that go and try to reach a solution with them. So he goes to the king over there. This king, with his really, really shrewd way, he was able to win over the heart of Balaam and to seduce him and to tempt him with dunya, money, women, etc. Balaam slowly, he was bored. He forgot everything. So he started to work against Nabi Musa sallallahu alayhi and Bani Israel. He started to work against them. After that, he told him, Balaam, this is some dunya, this is some money, etc. Please, go find some place, pray to Allah, pray to your God, so that that army of Bani Israel that is coming, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He does away with it and defeats them. Balaam agrees, but of course in the beginning he does not agree. In the beginning he says no and this and that. They go to his wife, give us some. So Balaam remained doing istikhara. He did istikhara twice. And he saw in his dream, the first time Allah is telling him no, second time again a no. But what do you want? Third time, nothing. And he did istikhara the third time, he didn't say anything in his dream. The wife says, see, now Allah wants you to do that. He didn't tell you anything this time. Go. Ya Allah, Balaam went. Got up to the mountain. As he was going, his donkey that he was riding, it started to stop and it would not continue, so he would hit it. At that, the donkey, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave it the power of speech. He said, do you not see the angels that are stopping me from taking you up the mountain in order to recite with the Ism al-Azam? In the end, he gets up there. And in a miracle, Balaam, he gets hurt and he's kicked, I believe, by the donkey. He forgets the Ism al-Azam. He can't use it anymore, he doesn't have it. But he doesn't stop over there. What he does is, he now starts to teach that person, the king of the Canaanites, tricks. What to do in order to take that tawfiq that Bani Israel had. So he told them, send women to them. Seduce them with your women. And this actually happened. In the end, Balaam, his end was such that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He sent shaitan, he took an entire control of his heart. Another final thing that I will mention then, finish? Just a couple of minutes there. This final thing that I would like to mention is that this kind of person, he does not accept knowledge and hikmah and wisdom anymore. You tell him, the heart is closed. That's it. They are not affected. You give them anything that may have awareness, insight, wisdom, no. And the Holy Prophet ﷺ, he says, it is forbidden for every heart which has been seduced by urges of the divine realm of the skies to manifest in him. فَانْسَلَخَ مِنْهَا Balaam, he disattached himself from these ayat. He cut himself away. He would not have any way back to that. Inshallah, I will continue tomorrow, maybe to mention just a few more other of these negative effects that a person falls prey to if they follow their urges.